Kelly Kearney with Star Constellation Magazine, and joining me today from the award-winning Fan Obsessed Max series Hacks, playing Las Vegas's favorite estate manager, by the way, Josefina. Welcome, Rose Abdoo. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Rose.
Thank you, Kelly. Nice to be with you again.
Absolutely. Hacks is back. Deborah Vance has finally broken through that late night glass ceiling, which, by the way, in the real world feels more like it's built of steel, to be honest. In your opinion, what's the one crucial thing a comedian needs to have to be the queen of late night?
You know, it seems like nowadays a huge Instagram following.
Yeah.
I think that an ability to disseminate the current events in a funny way, a great team of all female writers, I think would be great. A great telegenic look, personality. I think that we need a woman in late night, more women in late night. I know.
Yes, we've had one.
But it's kind of hard to believe that in 2025, it's still such an incredible, outlying thing that it would be something of a fictional television show. It should be just like, oh yeah, she is an example of, 5 different people that you could see on your television set. It shouldn't be this sort of like, oh, if only that really existed in real life.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we think we've had Chelsea Handler, and prior to that, Joan Rivers filled in for Johnny Carson. And I think that's
it. And you really, if the fact that we can only think of those two, I know Taylor Tomlinson has a very funny show.
Right. Right.
I don't even know if it's still going on. But there are so many talented women out there that I think would make incredible interview late night hosts. That why is it like women, I'll put them on in the afternoon? Like, I don't understand. I really don't understand it. I never have.
Yeah, I know. And Deborah is going to do fantastic. I feel like if her and Ava can figure out this tension, because we're only 3 episodes in and things are still tense between those two, our favorite duo, Deborah and Ava. After that huge blackmail season finale in season 3, which was just so heartbreaking and stunning performance from Anna Einbinder, who plays Ava.
I was telling someone that I really read it. I was on the Zoom for the table read. When it came up on season 3, I still gasped. I already knew what was going to happen, and it's still, so I can only imagine for people who didn't know what was going to happen. And then I loved how season 4 picks up right where season 4 ended. It's just really incredible.
Is there anything you can tease that might be going on in season 4 without spoiling anything, where maybe your character goes or the dynamics between those two end up?
I will say Josefina gets to see the show because Josefina has wanted this for Deborah as much as Deborah has wanted it for herself. And I love that in season 3, they gave Josefina the news that, Jimmy's on the phone and this is what's happening and it's a Christmas miracle. And it was just very exciting to be the one to like tell her, this is happening. And I feel like in season 4, we did all the table reads in person. This is the first year that we got to do that because we started filming during COVID. And I, as Rose, gasped audibly at every single script. I can't describe. And then I really listened to the scripts. And then as soon as it's over, I try and erase it from my memory so that I can watch the show as a fan.
That's right. You talk a lot about how you're a big fan of the show. Outside of being a part of it, you kind of separate yourself a little bit from that, able to enjoy it from the TV.
Show. And I watched the premiere. I was with my family in Michigan watching the April 10th premiere. And I come on screen and I almost look at it like, oh, there she is. And of course, my sister said to my mother, "This is you. That's Rosie." And she was like, "No, it can't. You look so old." I'm like, "Thanks, Mom."
Thanks, Mom. Mom's always keeping it real. How does Josefina navigate all these shifting power dynamics between Ava and Deborah? There's also shifting dynamics now between Marcus and Deborah.
Right.
Because I felt like Marcus and Josefina are kind of a team at the house a little bit. And now that Marcus is leaving, Deborah and Ava are fighting. How is Josefina going to navigate those interpersonal relationships and that
That's such a
changing
good
dynamic.
question. I'm not sure the audience will see it, but I have a rich inner life that no one sees. Josefina is very upset that Marcus won't be around. And Josefina, the relationship I think is so interesting too, that you don't see as much of, but how Damien and Josefina were like in that first season at odds with each other.
Yes.
You know, Damien was like, you don't get to call the shots. I get to, you know, she didn't really adore him. Now, Mark and Rose have always adored each other, but the relationship between Damien and Josefina more reflects my real relationship with Mark, who plays Damien. You know, we're such pals and co-conspirators, and sort of like you do get to see a tiny bit of that of our relationship grow a little bit. But you know, we don't know the news, or at least I don't, about whether or not we're getting a season 5. I'm hoping we do.
Yeah, don't get a season 5. I can't. If you don't get a season 5,
I mean, it would
God can strike me down.
But I hope that you will see more of the way the LA story with Deborah has affected Josefina, because you see in season 4 that Josefina loves being in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's what I will say, is that she loves being out of Vegas and in the world of Los Angeles.
Well, you know, Deborah, she's like this hurricane. She kind of sucks up everything and everyone in her path. But Josefina is no pushover when it comes to Deborah. She might be the only one kind of pushing back, and she can kind of face Deborah's wrath head on. Will that dynamic kind of shift or change given all the changes she's facing and the people that are in her life that are leaving her? Will she rely more on Josefina, you think?
You know, I have heard from one of the producers that as she gets more and more popular, her circle of people she trusts gets smaller and smaller, and that she will rely on Josefina more. So I think that's something, you know, when they pitched the show, this is no secret that they sort of told the story of it through 5 seasons. So that's key that we get to continue, because the world that they've imagined for these characters goes through another at least 10 episodes, I think, in their minds. That's what I know they've said that in public, so I'm not divulging to, you know, here, but I really, you know, I love being part of the show. I wish, of course, sometimes I take it as such a compliment. A lot of people are like, we want to see you more. And it's like, you know, I love being part of it, no matter how small. But I feel like I fill in all the blanks in my own head of what Josefina is really doing, even though the viewers aren't seeing it.
Like a character Bible. You must have a character Bible for inspiration, because like a common theme with Deborah is that she accuses everyone of leaving her all the time, but Josefina is always by her side.
Well, there was such a funny line in the, I don't know if it's the first, we've seen 3 of them now so far.
Yes, 3, yeah.
Is that when Marcus says to Deborah, you know, I'm your longest relationship. And she says, no, it's Josefina. And he says, she was gone for 4 years. And Deborah has that hilarious line, we were on a break.
We were on a break.
So like homage to Friends. But I said at the table read, what was I doing for the 4 years? You know,
for the 4 years.
I don't know. And I hope one day we find that out.
We find out, maybe the flashbacks or something like that. What do you think Josefina understands about Deborah that maybe the others haven't figured out about her yet? Maybe something that you have tucked into that character Bible that helps you with inspiration.
You know, I had said to the producers that I think that Josefina has seen Deborah from the get-go. Like, she saw her first open mic when she first tried to do stand-up. Like, I really believe in my mind that their relationship goes way, way, way back, before she was ever Deborah Vance, the famous Deborah. And I don't know. I think she doesn't let Deborah ruffle her feathers ever. You know, Deborah says she doesn't want to eat something, and Josefina, you'll see Josefina get concerned for Deborah soon coming up. She knows her limits. I feel like Josefina knows her limits, and she's very intuitive. You know, I'm not sure why she sticks around. I know that Josefina is not afraid of her moods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much worse with her own family. She does not care how much she yells. They both bond over the safety and security of the 2 dogs. That is of utmost importance to Josefina. They bond over that. So it's almost like, I know you see also too how Josefina has been such an important part of DJ's life too.
Yes.
So
I always think of Josefina as kind of like another mother
Yeah, I think of her as
to
a god.
her,
I
because
think of her
even
as a
that,
godmother figure.
yeah, godmother figure. Even in that scene, maybe 2 seasons ago, when she was, feeling really down about not being able to get pregnant, and
Yeah.
Josefina made her favorite dish for her, and then she didn't like it because it was missing an ingredient.
Yeah.
It just felt like there was a long history between these two, more than an employee, but in a family. And Deborah brings that dynamic to all of her employees. And I feel like it started with Josefina, and maybe she holds everyone else up
Yeah.
to Josefina's,
I like that. I like that. But yeah,
yeah,
she's
I
kind of
think
like the
maybe.
kind of people that their own family has let them down, so they have this chosen family that
Yeah,
they're they make those people their favorites or their people they depend on. Because
yeah,
what I loved about, I'm forgetting which season what happened in, but I loved all of the scenes with her sister. The fact that we even got to meet her
yes.
sister that betrayed her in this way with her husband, and that was fascinating to me. I thought that,
We wish we wanted to see more of that. I know the
yeah,
fans wanted to see more of that. Everybody loved J. Smith Cameron that came
oh,
onto the show and uh,
incredible, perfect,
brought a little
perfect casting.
succession onto Hacks.
Yeah, perfect casting for her. And then this season we have so many great guest stars coming up that you are going to, oh, so exciting. I'm excited for people. I won't say because I want people to be surprised. Some of them have been leaked a little bit, but I think there are more to come for guests.
Oh, there are more to come. Well, like you had said, Josefina kind of takes care of Deborah. She makes sure she's got enough. She's hydrating enough. She's drinking
Yeah.
water. She's not looking at the newspapers with the negative reviews. She really kind of protects her. What's it been like building this kind of maternal relationship with Jean Smart on screen? She's just fantastic, and I'm sure you have some thoughts on that.
I'm very protective over her. She's one of those people, I always want to know what she's doing, what she's up to. And I said this. It's so funny because we did Paley Fest. We were fortunate enough to be guests of the Paley and honored by Paley Fest. And someone on the red carpet asked Jean who is most like their character in real life, and she said me. And I took that as such a compliment. She said, I think Rose, because she has that cheeky underside that comes out once in a while. But I feel like with her, I'm protective over her as a person. I haven't spent that much time with her outside of filming, but I feel very close to her because of playing that character. We're not just
Yeah.
gossiping coworkers. I feel this is just an example. I know the world knows this, that we went through the fires here in
Yes.
and Jean called me to make sure that my husband and I did have to evacuate because we were so close. And she wanted to extend her guest room to us. And I said, I went to your house for your Christmas party, and I thought, I live in the same city with you. How am I going to get in here and be able to sleep over? So I made that wish in my mind, but I didn't mean that the whole,
Yeah, the whole city burns.
Under these conditions, certainly not. But that was such a lovely thing that we were talking, and I thought, if you would have said to me, in season 1, oh, you'll get so close to this person that you'll talk about sleeping over at her house, I would have just been like, what? This is Jean Smart. Like, I've just been a fan of hers forever. She's just such a wonderful, down-to-earth person that in real life, she's so kind and sweet that she's a magnificent actress because she really is nothing. I would have to say she's nothing like Deborah Vance, maybe in the way that she has great taste. Yes, but not in personality. So it was so funny that she said me for the person who's most like their character. I think that's kind of true.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, Rose has better fashion sense than Josefina does not have good fashion sense, but not today, perhaps. But I think that, yeah, I can't even remember what your original question was, but I just put it this way. I love being in her presence. And I think that our relationship off camera, if we spent more time together, would be very much like Josefina and Deborah.
Yeah, and I feel like on other people I've spoke with, and I think even you, when I spoke to you last season, she tends to bring this kind of family vibe behind the scenes. She had a baby shower for one of your cast members. She has parties where the cast and crew are invited. It really kind of blurs the lines between what's going on in the Vegas mansion and what's going on with Jean Smart and the cast for Hacks. One of the things that I know fans always want to know is what's going on behind the scenes? You had mentioned you're a fan of the show, you love it as much as you are a member of the cast. But as a viewer, when you're watching, is there something perhaps maybe about the show when you're filming it that you think would surprise or delight long-term time fans because they always want to know what's going on behind the scenes. They want to know if their shippy fan fiction has made it, across the way into the cast. They want to know if people talk about what the theories are behind. So what do you guys talk about when you're filming
I
this?
mean, we're so excited when we get to be with each other because a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
times, if they really go to Vegas, Josefina does not. Rose, I do not go to Vegas proper. We go to the Las Vegas mansion that is on the Universal Soundstage. Like
Right.
a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, "Oh, you're back in LA. I bet you're happy to be back and not filming." I'm like, "Wow, this show really creates the world that I live in Vegas." I've not been there. I mean, I've been there, but I've never been there in relation to X.
To the
I've
show, right.
which I think would surprise people. But we got to film the opening of the Screen Actors Guild, a little filmed piece that was a takeoff
Oh
on the.
yeah.
I don't know if people saw it. If it's online, it's worth checking out because it's so funny, especially if you've seen the movie The Substance. And I realized that was one of the only times that you see Kayla and Jimmy and Josefina and Marcus and all of us together as a group. We had so much fun that day because Ava will be doing, I'll get together with her for a scene or I get together with Damien for a scene, but very rarely are we all together at the same time. And I was the one that said, you guys, we got to get a picture because we see each other at award shows. The shows get
Right.
so lauded and so proud of it because it's won. I say to people, it's won everything you can win. But it's so much fun to be with each other that when we're together, we just can't stop laughing. I mean, it's like, what I love about the cast? Everyone has a sweetness to them. There has been so much delightful like fan art and
Yes.
and fan sites and things that we share them with each other that we are delighted. You've never met a group of people that were more delighted that it's like, look what this person drew or whatever. Like that's what I love, that no one is like jaded or doesn't care. We all have that. The only way I can describe it is I was like, wow, that's a tribute to the creators. They chose people they would want to hang around with, I think, because everybody has that sweetness and we get along for real. It's not fake.
For real.
Like we really get
Well,
along as people in real life.
do you think the enthusiasm from the fans bleeds into the set, maybe even inspires some choices from both the writers, the directors, and the actors on the set?
That's so interesting. That hadn't occurred to me till you said it, but I mean probably.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, yeah. I wonder how much the Lucia, Paul, and Jen um respond to what people are wanting to see happen. Like, I mean, I know there are people that are like, Ava and Deborah have to get together, and Hannah
Well,
has
there are.
on talk shows and stuff. And it's just so interesting that they've really adopted these characters into their lives. Like, it's exciting for me to be on Instagram the night before a new episode will come out and have people go, all I want to do is watch Hacks with my friends or whatever. It is so fun to be a part of something like that where everyone's waiting for what happens. And I said, I'm so lucky because I already know what happens, but I'm still waiting because
So,
I'm still waiting like a fan to see the next one.
and the show's social media managers do a great job getting the fans all excited, kind of teasing little things.
Yeah.
It's such a fun to be on Instagram when the show airs, see
Yes,
what people are talking
they're
about.
incredible. And a lot of my news comes from like Best of Hacks HBO, like those sites, that they scoop me on the stuff, or they'll make like a little clip of a compilation of different things they did
Yeah.
for me recently. And it's so much fun to watch. Yeah.
I know that we're waiting for a season 5 renewal. I absolutely think you're going to get it. I mean, I can't imagine you won't get it. What's your dream storyline for Josefina? Anything you can imagine? Maybe I know that they told you how the show was going to probably wrap up, but what would you like to see happen?
They didn't. They haven't told me where it goes. But in my perfect world, I would get a very long scene with Jean where we maybe even flash back to our younger selves.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
I'm not a fan of AI or anything, but I was like, wait a minute, if I could be, they did something to manipulate it and you could see when the two of us met and what that looked like. Oh, that would be a dream, see which
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love any long scene with her, or they could go on vacation together. Anytime I get to do anything with her, I'm excited. That would be wonderful.
I feel like she's pushing so many people that are close to her away this
Yeah.
season that there might be one left standing at the end. We'll see. And I hope that's not the case, but it makes for good television whenever there's drama, right?
So many people have said to me they're so tense when Hannah and Jean or Ava and Deborah are arguing. You can't take a deep breath through it. I love the way they play those scenes. It's just incredibly directed and beyond brilliantly acted. You really get the idea the stakes are so high for these two because they care so much with each other. They think of each other. It's a very unique relationship and one that I haven't seen. Just to see two strong women leads like that is
right. It's so layered.
It's so rare, and it shouldn't be, but it's so important. And that's another reason I'm so proud of the show is how inclusive it is with not only, the LGBTQIA community, but also women, just women together. Yeah.
Yeah, younger women, older women over 50, I feel like this is even though there's obviously men involved in the show and in the cast, it's a very women forward show. And I think that's why fans have really just locked into those two characters because if you're younger, you can kind of see yourself in Ava. If you're older, you can kind of see yourself in Deborah. And then you can see all the layers of relationships that can be built between two women, friends, comrades, people going against each other, people going for each other, people being in love, people just trying to find what works in a friendship and a working friendship. There's so many layers to it that so many different types of people can find themselves in it. And that is what makes Hacks so brilliant.
I agree completely. That's why I'm happy to speak with you again because you just got it on such a deep level, and I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you saying that. I really loved the show from the very first episode. I thought, I was locked in on Jean Smart. She's just fantastic. But I was like, who is this Hannah Einbinder? And then I was like, oh, daughter of Lorraine. Okay, we've got comedy in the genes. Let's see where this goes. And I've just been delighted every episode of every season.
I have to say, I agree. And she started out she's an old soul and she just started out great and is only getting better and better and better.
Yeah, she's only getting better. What's next for you though, Rose? Obviously the show is wrapped up this season. You finished filming. Yes. Everything's in the can for this season.
I did an incredible pilot in the end of March. A fabulous stand-up, another very strong woman, great voice, Zarna Garg. And Zarna is, follow her on Instagram, anyone listening to this. She has a book coming out very soon. And it was such a funny pilot. And I have hopes for it. It didn't get picked up by CBS, but it still could get picked up by another, service, whatever they want to put it on. But it was such a delight she has such a great point of view and her stand-up is so unique. She's an Indian woman. She wrote a new book. Her name is Zarna Garg, and I'm so proud of that. I worked on the pilot for about 2 weeks, and it was just a great career highlight for me to do that. And that's what taking up my time in the spring. And then I'm waiting to see about a couple other things that I hope come through. But it's been so fun to have Hacks. It's a very unique time in the business, and it's not lost on me how fortunate I am to have this show that going through the actors strike and the writer's strike, I had something that I knew was coming back. So I'm beyond grateful for it. And the fact that we embraced it, big chunks of time off. We were off for COVID and we're off again for
the writer's strike.
Off again for the strike, and that fans are still, it didn't lose the momentum and the excitement from people waiting for it.
I feel like fans nowadays, maybe when I was younger, people didn't hang on so long to a show. But nowadays with the streaming world, we either gobble it up all at once or we're okay waiting. If we love it, we'll wait 3 years for Severance to come back. We'll wait 2 years for Hacks to come back. I feel like the mind of the viewer has changed a little bit. If you love something, you'll wait for it if it's good.
Yeah, it's like a gift. Like I gave that up for Lost. And I hope, I love, earlier today, I don't know if you could tell, a Gilmore
The Gilmore Girls, yeah.
a Gilmore meeting, and I'm so thankful to be part of these shows. Have such a passionate fan bases, both Gilmore and Hacks.
Yeah.
Proven to really be loyal fans that care about and will watch it over and over again. I mean, I'm a person, I usually, like with other shows, I go, oh, I saw that already. But
Mhm.
you could watch over and over again and see something different every time. So that's another fun thing about it.
And Gilmore Girls is still a top streamer.
Yeah.
People are still watching it. You're creating new fans.
Yeah.
The children of the fans, the first wave of fans, are now loving it. I'm sure they come up to you and tell you all the time that they love your character in the show.
And they always say, I watched it with my mother and now I watch it with my daughter. And it is really fun to see the fans go from age, 10 all the way up to like people in their late 60s, 70s. It's fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, lastly, from Hacks to Gilmore Girls, like we're talking about, and Second City, which you also were a part of, and all the other things that you've done, what would you like to say to all those fans who have followed you through all of those paths in your career and are ready to see your new possible pilot and everything else you've got in store for us? What would you like to say to them?
I want to say thank you and thank you for caring from the beginning. And I really have lately received some letters from people in, it blows my mind. Like England, I got one from Belarus, from Germany, from Hong Kong. And these people are, tell me what anything I've ever done has meant, from That's So Raven to Gilmore, to people print out pictures of me on Scandal and Two Broke Girls, and even pictures from Hotel Transylvania. I'm like, how did they figure out that was me? And they want me to, and it's just so. Sometimes when you're in the day to day and auditioning and thinking like, does anyone care? Is this adding up to anything? And when I get a letter from someone who says this is what it's meant to me, or you've kept me company, I realized that when I was a child and I loved television, they were my friends from TV. I had real life friends, but it was like very special. And a friend pointed out to me, just like you loved these people on Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, that girl, they were your friends from TV. You are that person to these fans. And that blew my mind. I mean, I never really thought about it like that. And I said, I'm so grateful to get to be in this world of storytelling, or even, if I've kept you company after school or after your late shift or whatever, it's not lost on me how special that is. So I'd like to say a hearty thank you to everyone.
Well, a hearty thank you from us to you, because you've obviously kept us company, kept us entertained, kept us laughing on Hacks and Gilmore Girls. Thanks so much for talking with me today, Rose. It's been a delight as always. And fans, obviously fans, if you've not started watching Hacks, I don't even know what you're doing with your life, but you need to be getting to Max on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Watch the new season, rewatch the earlier seasons, and get ready for what's to come for the rest of season 4.